guys, welcome back to my channel. I am Letitia and this is That's So Letitia. And to all of my new viewers, supporters, subscribers, welcome guys. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I hope you enjoy the content. And to all of my returning viewers, supporters, subscribers, welcome back guys. As always, it is a pleasure to see you. Without further ado, let's jump right into this video. So for today's video, this actually came about out of a series that I said I was going to do, but also because me and another creator, we recently had a conversation and we were like, are we doing too much? Like, the overconsumption is really giving hoarderism at this point. So again, this is nothing new. It's something I said that I was going to do quite often, but after having that conversation with the other creative, I was like, yeah, you know what? At this point, I have enough product to help restock Sephora. So how's about I use some oldies, some products I have forgotten about, and let's just see where that goes. So this is what we're going to do today. I'm going to use some products that have been loved, set to the side, and then a few that I'm like, why haven't I used that product in a while? So we shall see. Of course, I'm going to first start out by using a primer. This is by Fenty Beauty. This is the Pro Filt'R Mattifying Face Primer. This one will never get old. I love this primer for mattifying my face. Now, lately I have been using a sunscreen primer, but the reason I'm using this one is because the foundation that I am going to use, it's not necessarily a mattifying one, and I want this look to be rather matte. With this foundation I'm going to use, although I love it, there is some bits of shine that tends to surface after a while, and this primer will definitely help to just kind of starve that off for a while. Okay, and next I'm going to use Fenty Beauty's Matchstick in the shade Pumpkin. This is to do a lower face color correcting. Guys, if y'all hear that in the background, it's that time of the year. I'm sorry, there's nothing I can do. The air conditioners are blowing on full capacity at this point because it's rather warm out here in this area. Up top to kind of color correct my under eye area, this is Huda Beauty's Faux Filt'R Color Corrector in shade Papaya. And to blend that in, I'm just going to use by the Makeup Shack. This is a T29 brush, otherwise known as my concealer brush. The foundation I will be using, I feel like I really used to enjoy using this foundation. I'm not quite sure why I stopped, other than to make space for all of the other foundations that I have since acquired. So this would be the Too Faced Born This Way Original Formula Foundation, which is a undetectable medium to full coverage foundation. It is oil free. And as I stated, I did use the mattifying primer with this foundation because I tend to have a bit of oil to show up throughout the day when I would wear this one. They did make a matte formula. I thought I had it, but maybe that one was my favorite and I used it up, and that's why I still have this one. So we're going to apply this one for today's Shop My Stash look. And this one is in shade Chestnut, which is also interesting because I normally use Chai. We'll see what happens. Maybe this is why I was sitting. We'll see. And I'm going to apply using a e.l.f. Ultimate Blending Brush. Color is interesting. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but okay, so now that we have that on, I am going to apply my concealer. I almost feel like this concealer, especially given how bright this concealer is going to be too bright, but it's my normal shade. This is by Juvia's Place I Am Magic concealer in shade 11. Let's see. Hold on. Okay, so first I'm going to put on Marc Jacobs Extra Shot concealer slash foundation, and this is in Deep 410. This was my absolute favorite. Oh my gosh. Okay, let's see. Just put that on top. I used to really be obsessed with this one because it suggests that there is caffeine in it to help depuff your under eye area. Oh my goodness. I used to live for this one. So what I'm going to do is first use the Marc Jacobs, and then I'm going to use the Juvia's Place more or less as a brightening concealer. But while the concealer is drying down a bit, of course, we're going to move on to our brows. Danessa Myricks Groundwork Defining Neutrals palette, and you guys already know I use Bark, this shade here. Going to apply it to my brows using a Morphe M165 brush. And now using the same Makeup Shack T29 brush, I am going to begin to blend in the Marc Jacobs concealer. And now, as promised, I'm going to apply the Juvia's Place I Am Magic in shade number 11 on top, more or less as a brightening concealer, especially since the foundation shade, for me at least, is a little bit too bright. Again, I don't know how well it's translating on camera, but yeah, for me, in person, I'm like, why is this so light? My goodness. I can definitely see why it was sitting, because the color, no, not for me. And I'm not going to let this one sit that long. Where's my sponge? Just because I only used a small bit. And I'm now just going to blend it in using a damp beauty blender. And moving on to setting powders and that whole bit. So let's see, which ones did I pull out? This is by Too Faced also. This is the Born This Way Translucent Medium Setting Powder. And this one is, there's a decent amount in here. So there must have been something else that caught my eye and made me stop using this one. Who knows? Again, I have so many different products. It's hard to say which one stole me away from this. More than likely it was a Huda Beauty Easy Bake Powder. I've been real heavy on those lately. And again, since the foundation I use tend to have oil to show up throughout the day, I'm going to add a baking layer. I normally don't bake, but for this foundation, I do feel it's necessary to just add some extra and kind of let it sit for a minute or two. And while that's doing its thing down there, I'm going to apply my bronzer that I'm using for this video. This is by Colored Raine, and it's in the shade Cinnabe. And this is what she looks like. This used to be one of my favorite bronzers. Again, when you purchase so many items, some of the good ones tend to get pushed to the back of the drawer, and you're like, okay, whatever happened to those items? Moving on to blush. Now, this is a blush, definitely a Shop My Stash blush. I do not use this blush often. I am aware that I have it, but I will say I was a bit underwhelmed, so to speak, by it. Not because it's not pigmented, but the shade description and the swatches that were online definitely are not giving what I received. But we're going to give it another shot. Maybe this time it'll give a shade that I am looking for this look. So I'm speaking of Pat McGrath's. This is the Skin Fetish Divine Blush in Electric Bloom. This is the shade. This one was supposed to be kind of like an orangey coral, and yeah, it wasn't given. It was not given that for me. And I noticed I was not the only person that was kind of like, okay, Pat, what is this? I saw many of reviews where people pretty much said the exact same thing I did, like, where's the coral, honey? Where's the coral, honey? And it definitely was not giving what the advertisements was giving. So yeah. And now I'm just going to dust off the baking powder. Now on top of the Electric Bloom, or right above it actually, super old palette. This is the Sahara Blush Volume 1. If you know, you know. At one point I was super obsessed with this palette. I'm going to take this orange shade here, Toby. I'm going to apply that right under my eye. And just kind of blend it downward towards Electric Bloom. And to set my entire face, I'm going to do a light dusting of Juvia's Place. This is their pressed foundation. Shade I'm going to use is Burkina. I'm going to apply it using a pointed powder brush. And now I'm just going to apply a light layer of Charlotte Tilbury's Airbrush Flawless Setting Spray. Now before I move on to the eyeshadow palette that I will be using, when I do my Shop My Stash videos, I like to show at least 1 or 2 honorable mentions. Basically just items from my stash that I have not used in a very long time. So for today's, I have 2. These both are from ADH. We have the ADH Norvina Collection palette. These were Pro Pigment palettes. I have volume 1 and volume 3. Could not get to volume 2. It just wasn't speaking to me. But apparently these really weren't either. I bought these right towards the beginning of me kind of getting serious about my channel, and I will be very honest, like these palettes were overwhelming for me just because the formula, they were more or less pigmented paints, and the way that they just sometimes didn't interact quite well with one another, and when you would try to do different like color combinations, it was a mess. For me at least, it was a mess. So yeah, those are my 2 honorable mentions. Maybe at some point in life I will pull them back out and just kind of revisit them and play around with them to see if now, since my skills have gotten quite a bit better, that I could make these make sense. But for now, they're going back into the vault. So onto the palette that I will be using. This is by Juvia's Place, and this is the Masquerade Mini by Juvia's palette. This one has 4, 8, 12, 16 mini pans of pigments, shades, metallics, mattes, and glitters. So for this one, since I kind of already preset my eyes using my concealer, I'm going to take a little bit of translucent powder. This is from Laura Mercier, and I'm going to set my eyes so that we can begin our look. So now for the first shade, I am going to use, let's use Burkina, the shade here. And of course, it's going to be my transition shade. So I will be using my Morphe M504 brush. Next, I will be applying the shade here, Fulani, and I'm going to apply that to the outer V of my eye using a EcoTools blending brush. And this is to help give our color some depth. Now I'm seeing why this palette kind of went dormant. The brown shades are definitely not this palette's strong suit. Nope, not at all. It's translating a little ashy for me. Now on top of the Fulani, I'm going to take this shade here, which is called Chi. This one here. Using the same Eco Tools blend brush, simply because Fulani really didn't make that big of an impact for me to have to change my brush. Now what I'm doing is applying the bulk of the density that I want to the outer V of my eye, and then using a very light sweep, I'm just sweeping it back towards the middle portion of my eye. Not dragging, but just a very light sweep so that it kind of looks like it has a gradient effect. And now I'm going to take this shade here, which is called Calabar, and I'm going to place that next. That's going to be in the center of my eye, using also a Eco Tools blend brush. And to get rid of any sort of harsh lines and to make sure that these look as though they are blending together seamlessly, I'm just taking a Morphe M433 brush and just slightly sweeping over the area where both of these shadows meet with no additional product. And for my under eyeliner, I'm going to use this Peacock Blue eyeliner by Sephora. States it is a 12-hour wear contour eye pencil. So let's see. And now that I'm back after a brief intermission, since my battery decided to die on me, I know. But we're going to move on to our lips, and first I'm going to line my lips using a Charlotte Tilbury's Lip Cheat Liner in 90s Pink. And now to fill it in, I will be using a lip bullet by Mented Cosmetics. This one is Pretty in Pink. Alright guys, so this is the final look. Off camera, of course, I applied my trusted fave lashes of the moment. Lilly Lashes, 34th Street, chopped in half. And yeah, so this is it guys. I hope you enjoyed this look. I hope you enjoyed this video. In the comments below, let me know. Are we kind of stepping back? Are we experiencing a little bit of beauty and makeup hoarderism? Overconsumption? Are the releases coming faster than you can actually purchase? Or have you already exercised self-control and you're just like, I'll admire from afar, but no thank you. Let's talk about it. And as always, in the description box below, there will be a list of all products used to achieve this look. You all be well, stay safe, exercise self-care. It is not a privilege, but a necessity. Make sure to check in on your strong friends after you check in with yourself. And until next time, we shall chat again soon.